What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. In the last two games under the Rizzler, Nick. And now we've had a bye week, right? To kind of calm down, catch your breath. See, okay, this is the new normal. This is how we're going to do things. What are you hearing? And by the way, y'all have had a lot of great pieces recently. I really enjoyed, like, character pieces, right? I really enjoyed the Brian Young one from Mike. I enjoyed your sit down with AK and kind of a look into his mindset and how he does things. But what are you hearing out of that building in this bye week, like in terms of how things are going with now? It seems like kind of catch your breath and some of the newness is gone. And now it's like, okay, let's lock in for this final push and see if we can do something.
I think people are still extremely positive. I feel like that they're really happy with the schedule. This week they get Thursday off, so they're practicing today, Wednesday, and Friday. I mean, that's a nice little thing for, the players get to be home on Thanksgiving and everything. It's also one of those things where if they don't win this week, then you look back at it and you're like, damn, they could have had 4 practices this week. So it could backfire on them. They kind of need to win this game. But, I think they're really happy with how things have gone so far. But I think the real proof is about to come up, because you got some games that are going to be a little bit tougher, and the Rams are a 5-6 team, but they don't feel like a 5-6 team. And I feel like this is a game where you can really make a case. Commanders, even though they've only beat one team with the winning record this year, that's kind of a game that's a measuring stick. They might be a little bit fugazi, but we're going to find that out down the stretch. And then obviously the Packers is a real big game. But I think this Rams one, I think there's a real opportunity here to show a material difference between the level of preparedness from last year to this year. They played the Rams. It was a Thursday night game, but that was the most broken. I think maybe, and I don't think I'm being hyperbolic here, I think it was maybe the most broken we saw the defense under Dennis Allen during his entire tenure, going back to when he was a defensive coordinator. They were shattered by the motion. They just could not cover. They could not be assignment sound. Guys running into, getting caught by surprise by pick plays and rub routes and all this stuff that's just hallmarks of that Rams defense or Rams offense. The Saints defense was not ready for it. I think going into this game, coming off a bye, you have to show that you can do all that stuff, that you're ready for it, that you have a plan, it's cohesive. And I think if you do that, like, that's just a start right there. That's a good showing for you. But for me, look, I don't know what the criteria is going to need to be at the end of the season. It's really tough to say. They could get to, 6-2 under Rizzi. However, I don't know what it looks like at the end. Like, that might be enough where you're like, yes, they have to hire him. It might not be enough. But I do think that winning, I keep saying it. For me, I feel like my barometer needs to be 2 out of 3 out of these games with the Rams, the Commanders, and the Packers. And you got to look good in all of them. You should smoke the Giants. I'm not really going to give you credit for that. Like, they don't, they just cut their quarterback. The Raiders don't have Gardner Minshew anymore. Like, those aren't going to be the convincing games. These are the games where you have to make your case. And I think he has a real opportunity right now. And I think everyone's really bought in. But I do think that kind of from a macro sense, an ownership sense, a Mickey Loomis sense, that the proof is about to come. Like, It was a nice little start. You got a nice win, 2 wins. Now's the time to really kind of start proving something. And I think that starts this weekend.
What's kind of like the general feel around the building as far as where they want this season to go? It felt like were draft choices and where can you draft, and are they finally going to draft a quarterback? And then they started to win games, and then the rest of the NFC South started to lose games. Like, is there a real belief that they can find a way to maybe kind of get into the postseason?
I think they're really going to try. I mean, I think that's where they want the season to go. And if they manage to win, this weekend, and then they beat the Giants, and I think the Falcons have the Chargers and somebody else, Vikings. Like, they could be theoretically, if they steal this game, they could theoretically be in a position to be in first place in 2 weeks in a really bad division. So I think they're going to try to chase out. Where do they want it to go? I think they're all in on that, which, I don't know. I go back and forth on it. It's more fun the end of the season to watch this pursuit, and I'd love to see them really make a real run at it. I think we kind of watch sports to see something improbable happen, and if Rizzi finds a way to to get this team into the playoffs, as insane as it sounds, like that's a much more fun story. But if they shoot for that goal and they are shooting for that goal and they come up short, and then we're sitting here in March, it's going to be like, damn, too bad they beat the Rams. They could have been picking 6th instead of, 10th. But, I don't think that's just a realistic thing that they're gonna try to do. I think they're gonna try to be all in on this. And Rizzi's trying to make his case. The players love him. They're trying to make a case for Rizzi. So where's it going? I mean, I think that's what they're shooting for. I still think it's unrealistic to see them in the playoffs. But if they win this weekend, like maybe it starts to feel a little bit more real.
Yeah, I mean, and it's we've talked about it at length, but like obviously the players and coaches, they're not going to tank. They don't have the security of like they can't afford to. They have to keep a job. They have to show that they can do this job. So it's like if you're going to truly tank, then you got to do basically what the Giants are doing, right? You got to like bench your starting quarterback, upgrade the third string guy all the way to the top. Obviously the Saints are not going to do that. Do you think there's value in and I know I probably sound like I'm speaking out both sides of my mouth because I was on like wanting them to lose as much as possible, but then I didn't want them to lose to Falcons. Then I didn't want them to lose to the Browns, not the 2-7 Browns. And now it's like, I mean, I don't know, dude. Let's just see, like maybe it's not the worst thing to stick with an interim guy as you kind of let the cap reset and everything else over the next couple. So yeah, I've kind of come around to it that hell, go out there, do everything you can, and maybe there's some value in trying to maintain a culture of striving to win.
Yeah, I mean, the other part of this too is intellectually, there's obviously like if you aren't going to make the playoffs, it's better to have it. Like obviously, that's the best outcome. If you aren't making the playoffs, you want to have the highest pick possible. But man, it has sucked watching football here for like 4 years now. Like, and now that it's a little bit fun, like it's not the worst thing in the world. Like I've enjoyed watching them play the last 2 weeks. It's more fun. Like it's been bad football. It's been horrible. You got the 2-week tease at the beginning of the season. And now it just doesn't suck on Sundays. I'm not sitting there on Saturday like, damn, like what am I going to talk about on Sunday? What am I going to talk about when I come on with T-Bob and Jake? Like, it's going to be like so depressing. Like it's not depressing anymore. And
no,
I think there's value to that. And I think there's value to that in the locker room too. I mean, there definitely is. And we saw it last year. And as much as everybody wanted shift last year, you saw that kind of healing process happen last year. Now you might see that healing process happen and it leads to somewhere actually materially better. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I talk out of both sides of my mouth consistently because the draft pick, yes, want the better draft pick, but also like, damn it, this is not a bad place to exist right now. Yeah. And they could get smoked this weekend, and we're right back on it. And this could be another 2-week mirage. It might just be like a little candlelight in a cave or whatever. But maybe it turns into being something a little bit better. And I'm here to see if it goes that far. I'm open to it, and they aren't going to tank anyhow, so it is what it is at this point.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.